Hi and welcome to this new video, and in this video I'm going to talk about one of the problems with learning a complex new maneuver that looks very similar to something you already learned. So what I'm talking about here is the last couple of videos we looked at backwards flying and the backwards funnel, and for anyone who's been trying to fly backwards, if you've had some success with it, you may have come across the situation where you've been flying around backwards like this and thinking, hey, this is going great, this is really good, I'm starting to get the hang of this flying backwards business, and you've got it dialed in and you're able to fly your quad around and everything's great, and then you stop and land and you think, okay, right, now I've done that, I'll fly around forwards, and you take off and you try and fly forwards and this happens. You just crash straight away, and you suddenly discover that you can't fly forwards anymore. You can fly backwards, but you can't fly forwards anymore, and all the stick inputs you're putting in are all wrong, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? What's happened to my brain? I can fly backwards now, but I can't fly forwards? Well, this is all to do with how the brain learns new things, and one of the problems with learning something like backwards fly is that when your brain is watching what's going on here with the backwards flight, this looks to the brain exactly the same as forwards flight. And so as you're learning your stick inputs to fly the model around like this, your brain is busy replacing all of your motor skills that you learned for forward flight with motor skills for backwards flight, and then you switch and try to fly forwards, and suddenly you discover that you can't fly forwards at all, and in fact you're putting in all the controls for backwards flight instead and crashing horribly. So the question is, how do you avoid that situation? How do you make it so that your brain doesn't replace all of your forward flight skills with backward flight skills? How do you make it so your brain actually creates a new skill called backwards flying that doesn't replace forwards flying? Well, that's all to do with how the brain works, and it's all to do with making sure that when you're practicing something, that you have regular points where you stop and you re-practice the forward flying that you already know how to do, so that your brain gets a sense that actually there are two skills here. It's not one skill that's changed and now needs to be done differently, it's two skills, and therefore two different skills need to be learned, and motor skills need to be assigned to those two different skills. So the key to this is that you need to do a bit of backwards flying and kind of get to the point where you can get flying around and you've done one successful circuit backwards and you think, yeah, great, that's good. Then stop and fly the quad forwards, do some forwards flight, do some circuits one way and do some circuits the other way, because you need to convince your brain that there are two skills being learned, not one skill being relearned a different way. And the way you do that is by stopping and varying the practice. It's called varied practice. It's used in coaching when you're teaching people how to learn a new skill. And what varied practice does is it allows your brain to concentrate on something that it already knows how to do, or even something completely different, but it allows your brain to kind of categorize and store things away correctly, rather than thinking to itself, okay, I used to do things like this, but now it would appear that I do things like that, and therefore I need to replace that skill with this new set of motor functions. And then once that problem has happened, you can't actually fly forwards anymore, and you've got to kind of relearn to fly forwards. Now unfortunately it doesn't take very long to sort it out and to relearn to fly forwards, but you don't want to keep forgetting how to fly forwards because you've been spending a long time flying backwards. You just want to stop every 10 minutes or so and just do some forward flying, just to remind your brain that actually there's two skills here and we're trying to learn two, we're not trying to relearn one skill done a different way. And that should stop the problem from happening. The other thing you can do is, once you get a bit better, is start switching in flight. So rather than landing and thinking, okay, now I need to fly forwards, is just start switching it around in flight. So fly backwards like this, and then just turn the quad and fly forwards. And this type of transition where you just kind of switch from one to the other will really solidify in your brain that actually there are two skills here that you're employing, and it needs to work on both of those from a motor skills point of view, not just one. Okay, so that's it, and I'll see you on the next video.